The one they call Andrew Tate is a lot of things. And amongst those things is the king of Bugattis, because he has more Bugattis than he knows what to even do. He has more Bugattis than he can even drive. He is also, was one of the greatest fighters that has ever lived. And if he continued to fight, he would have pretty much destroyed every living and non-living human being, because they would not be living after he was done with them. So according to Andrew Tate, he is that as well. And he is also not just a G, right? Because it's one thing to be a G, you're a real G, but he is the top G, not upper echelon, right? That's even one degree under what he is. He is the top, he is the G. In the ranking system of G's, he is the top G. You understand me? Andrew Tate is all of these things according to Andrew Tate. But one thing Andrew Tate is not is a man that is worthy of your respect. At least if you're a respectable man yourself, this is a guy that you cannot take serious to see as a role model. Now, I don't believe in seeing celebrities or any of these individuals as role models to begin with, right? My true role model in the household was my pops. When I look at it in the long term, he has had the most influence on my life, and I'm grateful for that. At this stage of my life, I'm deeply grateful for it. I used to be almost ashamed. I did an entire video on that, it sounds crazy, but I used to be ashamed for having two parents in the household. Oh, you black. Oh, that's some white stuff. Real strange dynamics. But besides my father, there's no other man I can look to and say, that person I modeled myself after. But unfortunately, there are plenty of young men out there who did not or do not have a father in the household. And so they're looking out to the world to find a mirror for themselves. And essentially, up comes the individual such as Andrew Tate. Now, for the tater tots out there who are, his kind of cult following, I will refer to him as such from here there forward. The tater tots, they see this man as God, and they view anybody who speaks against him as Lucifer, Beelzebub. They see me as a hater. And the only way that I can speak ill of this man is because I hate him. Well, the truth is, I actually used to like the guy's content. I used to be a fan of his to a certain extent. And this was during a period of my life where I was getting into the red pill content, right? I was attracted to the personal development, the self-help aspect. And then, obviously the other messages started seeping in. And it was the exact same when it came to Andrew Tate. He's a very charismatic individual. He knows how to articulate an idea. He seems to be a hardworking individual. But what he is not is a quote unquote real man, a true model for what it is to be a man. And why I say that is because if you were to mimic the way in which he lives, our society would fall apart just as it is or has been in modern history. That is a depiction of the fall of the West. In the same way, a dude wearing a dress or something like that, like the Harry Styles of the world. In the same way, that right there, that effeminate sort of male, it's the very same thing as this quasi, hyper masculine, the overcompensation. A normal, regular dude is not putting on that entire image. They don't have to. You simply don't need it. When I was trying to do stuff like that, poking my chest out, trying to be the baddest, meanest dude, the buffest dude, whatever it was, richer than everybody else. Again, I'm a pro capital. I'm a pro free market guy. Get all the money you can get, in a moral and legal way. But when I was trying to be that for the world, is because I wanted external validation. I need to show you my life. Look at my lifestyle. Look at everything that I have. I define myself off the things that I have. It's no different. Now, when you see a chick who's got the caterpillar eyelashes, she's got lace fronts, she got the baby hair glued on, you know what I mean? She got eye contact lenses, a BBL, and, a front BBL. It's the exact same thing. You're so thirsty for attention. And that's not true, genuine, the core essence of masculinity. Again, we've been presented an idea that is superficial, that is vain in essence. That is actually quite emasculated if you really think about it. It's quite effeminate when you look at it. It's fixated on aesthetics. If your man, ladies, if your man is spending more time in the mirror than you are getting ready, you probably need to check that situation to see if you're actually dealing with a dude who's on the straight and narrow, if you know what I mean, right? If that's not what you're into, then that's between you and the donkey you rode in on. But I'm just going to point that out. That man is spending more time in front of that mirror trying to make himself look prettier, is more fixated on the things that he is buying as opposed to who he actually is to cultivate, character and virtue. Like the heroes of old, the ones we look up to, it's not because of, the amount of jewels that this they had. Those are byproducts, but it was who they were and the amount of respect that these individuals garnered from those around them. They were revered. Some of these men were extremely wealthy, and some of these men, might have been considered as poor, but yet they were always rich in spirit. And so when you have the likes of an Andrew Tate and what he represents essentially a deception, an illusion. And this ties into the literal format of his platform because he lives in contradiction. I believe that one of the male virtues or human virtues is integrity and honor. Honor is honesty. I trust you, you trust me. Something that I learned and, as far as what I've researched, the handshake is a byproduct of essentially trust between men. Is to say, I am unarmed, I am unarmed, right? Honor, to say, I can trust you. This man cannot be trusted with himself. I mean, it's the same individual who is telling young men that corn makes you weak and to watch and to consume it makes you weak, which I know and believe it does. That's why I cut it out of my life almost a decade ago. I know that sounds crazy as hell. It seems impossible, but trust me, you can do it. There was a time in history when men didn't have it and essentially didn't rely on such a weakening crutch, not just physically, but mostly in the spiritual context. We'll get into that conversation another time. But this is a dude who pushes that narrative on one end, and then on the other side has essentially made a career, made a living, and as he says, made a fortune, become wealthy off of what? Oh, being an internet PIMP, right? That's how he made his money, at least the first half of his money. Before he started finessing his followers, before he started fleecing the flock, he was an internet PIMP. He was coercing these young women into this. And I'm not saying that they didn't choose, right? But when you got 16, 17-year-olds that you are grooming, you're coercing these individuals into what you got going on. And then you are selling them to a group of individuals that you claim to care so much for. You care for these young men to develop into, or these young boys to develop into strong, capable men. And yet here you are selling them on what? These are things that he said out of his own mouth, folks. This isn't me making this up. I am creative, but not creative enough to create this narrative. These are things that he has pedestalized, epitomized. He is still selling these products on the market. How do you become an internet PIMP yourself, right? His PhD, Impin Os degree. That's what he's pushing, and that's what he's pushing masculine. I don't see any PIMP as a man. None of them. They're some of the most vile and degenerate and effeminate of our society. In the same way, a radical male feminist cannot be trusted. You cannot trust a PIMP. You can't trust him. A real G, an individual who is really active and really about that life, that type of individual, even in those spaces, you find more honor. Not much, right? Because how much honor can you find amongst thieves, etc.? But this is a guy who has been finessing his audience with contradiction, with hypocrisy. And so therefore, he cannot be deemed as a real man, one who is to be looked up to, one who is to be essentially not pedestalized, but to be a role model for others. I mean, I don't think if he has boys, if they became exactly what their father were, I would believe that that's a moral failure. You might be worldly successful. You might have created a vast amount of wealth and resources. Beautiful. That's amazing. I'm happy for you. But when it comes at the cost of a moral failure, you are morally bankrupt. Your values do not exist. Your values fluctuate based upon what you want. Let me say that one more time. Your values change or fluctuate based upon what it is that you want in that very moment in time. Okay, I want some money. I'll change my value. I want some attention. I'll change my value. I want some influence. I'll change my value system. That is not a man. A man's values do not waver based upon the audience, based upon a bag, based upon opportunity, based upon any external factors. Your values are steadfast. This is what it is to be a man. And when young women are seeing the guy with the Bugatti, the guy with the bag, this, that, and the third, and they believe that's a man, and they fall for that, everybody loses in that equation. And I see so many young men, and even older guys, let's say in gyms or whatever, trying to pack on muscle. And it's a beautiful thing. I believe, take care of your body. This is a vessel. This is a temple. Take care of your body. It is a gift. Okay? And your health is truly wealth. Like, without your health, you ain't got shit. Simple as that. But imagine being the guy who's in the gym, working out, put on the muscle, and you still feel inadequate and you still feel insecure. And I've run into these guys more times than I'd like to admit. Man, I mean, swole up, looking like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like, what is all of this? And you still feel like you're nothing? Really? You still feel as if you're nothing and nobody. No amount of money, no amount of muscle in the world will make up for who you truly are within. Can you even trust yourself with yourself? Again, that's why this conversation of corn and things of that nature, it's deeper than just, superficial. Well, a man's got to be a man. Man got to do what a man got to do. Well, I just got to get one off. No, that's weakness. You are morally bankrupt, and that's going to affect any relationship you even want to have moving forward. Because I believe more men than not, more males than not, want to actually have a functional, stable, grounded, rooted, beautiful, sustained, long-term relationship. Not little fleeting one-nighters. There are some who are like that, some who believe it's a conquest, who've fallen into the trap of that. And I get it. We all had, we all had. Some of us had our time and we were running around and doing what we're doing. But at a certain point you say, man, I want something different for myself. I want to establish a foundation and I want to build. And when you listen to the likes of these individuals who all they do is quote unquote dunk on women, who are not really women. These are, their counterparts. The far left radical feminists, the OFs, the whatever, those type of individuals. When that's the dynamic, you don't get the reality. And the reality is the masculine and the feminine coming together in a beautiful union. And it's such a beautiful thing when it comes together, folks. It's such a beautiful thing. But when you have these external factors that you believe are going to make up for it, that's when you end up in a messed up situation. Because if all you have is your money, then all you can ever get is somebody who sees you for your money. If all you have is that lifestyle, then you're going to attract somebody who all they care about is that lifestyle. They say, well, if you don't have these things, no woman will want you. That's BS. That's complete BS. That's nothing but red pill hogwash. These dudes are saying it. Half of them don't even believe it. And most of them been exposed. They don't believe it. Some of them got a woman back home, grown woman back home. Some of them have never really been in a relationship. So how can you trust either one? Who tell man, you can't trust it, man. You never cuff them. It's not she's not yours. It's just your turn. I don't know what type of reality some folks are living in. I know some people have been through situations, have been finessed, whatever it is, right? But if you fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me, right? Fool me 3 times, I'm a damn fool. If you fool me 3 times, if I am continuing something, that is a pattern. 1 time it's an incident, 2 times coincident, 3rd time it's a pattern. If I am in a pattern of dysfunctional relationships, I have to check myself. That is masculinity. It is to take accountability for the decisions that I made. If I continue to attract the very same type of relationship, I check myself, period. I don't look out there. Well, it's their fault. Look at it's the gynocracy or gynocide, whatever the hell, right? Whatever the terms they're coming up with nowadays. Oh, well, it's a matriarchy. Let all that be what it is. It's like me. I don't blame racism for the outcomes of my life. I look to myself and say, what could I have done different? And what will I do different? Am I willing to do it different? Okay, perfect. Let's do it. If not, then live with the consequence. Then live with that outcome. Otherwise, I can't put that on the next man. I can't put that on a woman. You understand me? It's her fault. No, it's not. Because if I knew how to stand in my ground, firm standing, I have enough self-respect to walk away from those situations that are not conducive and to step into those that are an asset. Simple as that. So again, a broken clock is right 2 times, at least 2 times. There are individuals who can teach you self-help, personal development, but then intertwined in that is a message that is destructive for the soul. It is destructive for the mind. It is destructive for your emotional state. And there are young men who are suffering as a worse off byproduct. There are men who have benefited, absolutely, or young men who have benefited, absolutely. But there are plenty more who will be destroyed by these such messages because they'll be steered off into the wrong direction. And that's why I feel the need to make something like this. Oh, but you're just hating on him. You hate him because you want a platform. Like, if you see it as hate, then so be it. If you see holding something to the light as hate, so be it. But look at the reality of what you're following, because that's what being in a cult does to you. If you're in a fundamentalist, dogmatic sort of, religious or even quasi-religious sort of mind setting, you can't see what's right in front of you. You can't see that this individual is a hypocrite, that they're lying to you, that they're finessing, and that they're fleecing you. And so you will look to defend them as opposed to reject them.
I fell in love with the sunshine. I fell in love with the light. I fell in love with the full moon. I fell in love with the night. I can see the light again. I can see the light. You can see the life in him illuminate the night. I know the time is taking. A 3-6-5, that's a full rotation. I see you.